Okay, so we're back for another episode today, and I have a very lovely guest on here. We kind of just crossed paths in a very roundabout way, and I'm so glad that we did because when I got to meet Danielle and hear about her journey and what she's doing now in her business, I just knew that I wanted her to be able to share this with my community as well because I think it's super impactful. So, Danielle, thank you for being here, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Laura, for having me here today. And I am Danielle Fox, and I am with 4F Accounting Associates. Um, a little bit about myself. I live in South Carolina with my husband. I have an oldest son, and he is married, and he and his wife are both in the Navy. And then I have a middle son and a youngest daughter who are both in college about 4 hours from me. So it's really convenient too. I'm not too close. So they have their space, but I am close enough to get over for holidays and birthdays and that kind of thing. Um, and I do work full time as a controller for a couple of IT consulting companies, but I also have my own business, as I mentioned, where I work with solopreneurs and nonprofit leaders to help administer the financial aspect of their business. But in working with them and making sure that we keep their records compliant and current and that all of their reports are transparent and they understand what those numbers mean. We do all of that from a foundation of purposeful generosity, which really just means that when I work with business owners, I try to help them build intentional giving into their um, financial strategy for their business because we all want to grow, we all want to expand, and it's important to have profits. But our businesses are about more than just making profits, especially as faith-based business owners. Our businesses are about having an impact on others for Christ, and so being able to maximize that impact through an intentional giving plan is a way that business owners can do that through their businesses. So that's kind of the philosophy we take when we have conversations. They're always going to center around not only the profit aspect but also the giving aspect.
Yeah. And I absolutely love that about what you do because I feel like that's just this added element to what we already need in a business. We need accounting help. We need to make sure that our reports, our books look good, all those things. And two, a lot of times at the end of the day, we're looking at what is our profit margin and also where's the profit going? Because I think dollars are kind of sneaky. They sneak off in random directions if we're not giving them specific places to go. Um, and to make sure that our dollars are used in a way that is of service to others around us, to the community, and like you said, very Christ centered. So we're looking at what kind of generosity can we do to glorify God in the things that He's enabled us to have a business. He's enabled us to uh, produce an income. Either I look at it like whether we're solopreneurs or whether we contract things out, we hire people as employees or whatever. We kind of have this ability to grow and expand and impact multiple people. We're impacting employees or we're impacting those that we're contracting. But we can impact a lot of other people's, even nonprofits and, our local churches and different community members and even missionaries, far and
Mhm.
wide by knowing, where's our heart at and where do we want to give. So I kind of want to ask you, like, knowing that you're a mom, your kids are grown, um, and that you do work full time as well as having this business of your own. How long have you been doing your business and when did you kind of start that and get into that?
I have been doing my business. I was in the full-time corporate world when I first was out of college and first was married. And then I decided that we were going to start a family and we were going to have children. It was important for us that I be able to be home with them. And so we kind of transitioned at that time to doing some bookkeeping. It was very, very part-time while my children were young. And then I did have some life changes, went through some circumstances that required me to go back into the corporate world. But even during that time, I was always maintaining, just a few clients on the side. And then
Mhm.
in the last 3 or 4 years, I really felt like God was encouraging me to make it a little more intentional. Um, Start networking, get out and start sharing my business. And then at the same time, also kind of rebranding and rethinking. Um, the business has a purpose for sure, a financial purpose,
Mhm.
helping business owners be able to maintain their finances and understand what do their reports mean, what do they tell them about if they're on track to meet their goals and those kind of things. And that is important, but I felt like there was something more that my business was supposed to be doing, and I wasn't really sure what that was. And so over the last probably 6 months, God has really been working in my life, convicting me about giving and above and beyond just the tithing that we're called to do, but intentional giving beyond that, partnering with helping for-profit businesses partner alongside nonprofits potentially. That's kind of a long-term goal that I have is to kind of create a um, database of nonprofits that I feel like I could recommend because I know that they use their money wisely and I know what their mission is,
Mhm.
and be able to start working with the for-profit business owners that I come in contact with to connect them with these nonprofits because nonprofits rely on donations. They don't have, in a lot of circumstances, their own kind of consistent income coming in. And so
Mhm.
to be able to find ways to help for-profit businesses partner with these nonprofits as monthly donors or as event sponsors or those kind of things it's a blessing to the nonprofit. It helps them to expand their reach, but it also helps the for-profit business owner kind of expand as well. So I've got kind of some thoughts in my head that I'm not really sure how it's all going to play out yet, but I feel
Mhm.
that the Lord is kind of nudging me in that direction. So we'll see what it ends up being 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, but that's kind of how I got started. So I've been doing my side business for a lot of years. Since my children were little, but really just in the last 4 or 5 years have kind of been ramping it up, looking ahead at retirement for my full-time job. How am I going to,
Mhm.
continue to have some cash inflow during my retirement years? So that's where we're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that, God has kind of put this on your heart to have that generosity piece of like, how can I help entrepreneurs be able to give back? And then also, being that kind of liaison between the for-profit business and how they can impact nonprofit businesses by, kind of feeding them in the direction of here are some very worthy causes to invest your
Mm-hmm.
money in because I feel like that can be a gap for a lot of people in business or even for nonprofits. The nonprofits are looking for businesses that are willing, and the businesses are thinking, oh, what's a really good nonprofit that I know is going to be taking my money and using it for really good things? Because
Right.
I don't even know a whole lot about the nonprofit world, but I know that there's stipulations and regulations on like what you can use funds for, how you can receive funds. Like there's so many different things at play there. And then also too, you're going to be able to provide that connection between the two of them, and also even provide them with that peace of mind of like, okay, I know you and your personality, and I know how you would probably screen and look for certain things with a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit or even with a business, and you want to match up people that work together very well. So I think that personalized piece that you put into it is going to make for something just absolutely wonderful as your business continues and it grows. Um, so I kind of want to just ask, so like if someone is, they've had their business maybe for a while, they're doing pretty good, they're having a pretty consistent profit come in, or they just have this heart of, I want to be able to give to something. What are some things that you might encourage them to think about or to look at in regards to using their profit for generous acts?
That's a great question. I actually have I call it a give plan that is available for free as a download on my website that people can go. Um, but but the four in summary is having a goal, um, what do you want to do? Do you want it to be as a business owner that I want to set aside this much each month, or I want to set aside this much each quarter, or once a year I want to be able to do this? Knowing what your goal is, and is it that you want to, as you've mentioned, several different things, support your church or support your local community or give to a missionary or help a nonprofit, whatever that might look like. Having a specific goal is where a business owner can start in this purposeful generosity direction. And they don't have to even necessarily be established for a really long time. It might be that you can only give $5 a month, or you want to set $5 a month aside in an account so that when you find out about a need, you've got a little bit there that you can give and you're not scrambling trying to figure out, oh, well, this was a slow month for me. So, how am I going to give? No, you've already planned and you've already got it set aside. And then being intentional. So having a set, this is non-negotiable. It's part of my budget. It's intentional. I'm going to give it on, monthly, quarterly, weekly, whatever that structure is that the business owner is comfortable doing, to have that goal and have it intentional. And then you want it to be something that's in line with your own values as a business owner. What organization or community event or whatever that you are intending to give toward, is it in line with your values? And then, just being an encouragement to other people is always a great thing. Just to have all of those things moving forward, and then know that you're going to be able to encourage others through that plan that you have as you begin as a business owner, kind of having that intentional giving philosophy.
Mm-hmm. I think those are really great points. I like that you said too, like even if you're not at that point of being established yet or have that consistent cash inflow, if you have a slow month or something, I like that you mentioned having just money set aside. So it's like maybe it's not something that's recurring every single month, week, or however you have it planned out. You could plan it to where it's a lump sum once a quarter or once a year. And I think that's even a great idea for, anybody that's even a small time entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
that is kind of still getting things going. If you have something that you just feel that your heart is aligned with, that you want to give to, or if you don't even know what that is yet, like you said, just kind of putting that back, knowing that there's going to be something that's going to come across as an opportunity for me to support something that I believe in, a worthy cause. It could be something for the community, events. Speaking of events, our local volunteer fire department, they're having a fish fry this weekend, and it's like every year this comes around and we're like, well, if we have some extra money set aside, we could buy some things at the auction. And so instead of scrambling to be like, oh, do I have any money for that? You could be preparing and planning year after year, as months go by of, okay, I'm just taking and putting a little bit of this aside, which I think is fantastic. And if you have this established business and you have this money coming in, and you think, I want to help these different organizations, there's no limit, I think, to who all you can help or how much that you want to help with. You could pick one, you could pick 10, you know. Um, but I think that you have, some great advice when it comes to setting up a plan, being intentional. I've heard so many different things about budgeting, especially if you're investing and doing different things. The more that you can kind of put into that plan and automate it to happen to where it's
Mm-hmm.
just this other recurring thing, kind of like your expenses that keep coming up, you're going to do it almost on autopilot. Do you suggest doing things kind of like that as well?
Absolutely. And, every business owner has to determine what is right for them. But yes, to have it, as part of your budget or even an automated thing where, if you have your business set up so that you can, maybe you have an automated bill pay, or you have it set up so that you transfer money into this other account automatically, on the first of every month or the last of every month. The automated set it and forget it is always wonderful, because then you just don't have to think about it and you don't go get to that point in the month and say, oh, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? You're not really making a decision that's already happening for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important, I think, that giving becomes part of the overall philosophy. It's not just a bill or whatever, but in how you look at your business and how you're stewarding those funds that have been given to you, to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then having that philosophy that I'm going to give, whatever amount it may be, like I said, you may be established and you have a lot more that you can set aside, or you may just be starting, and you don't have a lot, but you still can have that philosophy of generosity of what can I do? If it's $1, if it's $5, what can I do starting when I start my business right from the ground floor? How can I make that part of my business financial philosophy so that it, as I grow, I just continue to be able to expand the giving and the impact that my business is having.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's wonderful and so powerful to really keep in mind and keep that perspective. I think it keeps us humble.
Mhm.
And I think also too, it's like it's kind of our duty that God has given us to tend to the poor, tend to the needy, like those that are needing some financial aid, those that are needing some things to do these good works, because so many things that benefit our community are done through volunteers, they're done through
Mhm.
nonprofits and stuff, and it's a way that really enriches different people's lives that are less fortunate or just struggling because of circumstances and things that happen in life. And so when we can kind of bring that into our business culture of
Mhm.
I really want to be known for helping this cause. I think it can kind of take on its own little life, especially if it aligns with, values that you already have. It can kind of take on its own life and persona with the business of I'm working hard because I know my hard work is benefiting these people. It's just this ripple effect of,
Mhm.
like
For
you
sure.
said, stewarding the things that God gives us so that we can benefit those around us. We can benefit those that need this the most. And like you said, whether we're established or we're working from the ground up, knowing even from day one, what do I want to be able to do? And I think
Mhm.
that's kind of a fun thing to look at if you're thinking of what can I give? We get such, fulfillment from giving,
Mhm.
from being kind. There is this little show that my daughter watches, and um, they have one episode where it's like they call it Neighbor Day, and they're just doing kind things for their neighbor. And they get so excited from the first thing that they do, they just want to go and do something else, and they go and do something else for somebody else. And I'm thinking, it's such an uplifting feeling of just lending time, lending, effort, lending our resources, which in a business, when we can generate profit and use that to help someone else in need, it's this way of being kind. It's this way of, you know, helping everyone to kind of rise together. It's like, as I'm doing well, I'm making sure that others can do well too. So I love that you have incorporated this piece into your business, into the accounting world that you're in with your part-time or probably getting close to full-time position that you want to move that into. And so I appreciate you just coming on my podcast today and being able to just talk about this and kind of open this opportunity and this idea up to the audience that's listening, because I feel like there's so much more impact we can make with
Mhm.
what we're doing. I mean, our services that we offer, they're so impactful, but like this is this next step. This is this other part of our business where we can be making impact anywhere in the world, honestly,
Mhm.
that we would like to and impacting the lives of others. So I just want to thank you so much for taking time out today and being on this podcast with me and sharing about this. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, what's probably the best way for them to contact you?
The best way is probably to go to my website, and it is four F accounting.net. And there are places on there where you can fill out a form to request more information, or you can download the Give plan for free, or just kind of see what the business is all about. But that's probably the easiest place to find me is through the website.
Okay. And just real quick, what are the four F's for your accounting business? What are those?
So it's kind of a dual purpose. We are faith founded and finance focused. So those are 4Fs. But also, when I started the business, it was myself and my 3 children, and they do have a last name that's different than mine, but they were all Fs. So we kind of combine the 4F, kind of represents my family as well as the principles that the business is founded on.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I kind of like diving into some of the little nuances behind the brand, like where did this come from, and why is it important to you? Because our names for our business sometimes typically have a story behind them as well. So thank you for sharing that. And if anyone who is listening would like to know more, Danielle's links will be in the show notes, and you can go check out her website, download her free resource, so that you can plan to start giving if you're not already, or even enhance your giving. So thank you so much, Danielle.
Thank you, Laura.